Welcome back. You're tuned in to Fresh Start here at News Talk 93 FM on the Mona campus of the University of the West Indies. If you're just joining us, it's our special Child Month feature, I Am a Child, where the focus today is on bringing awareness to sexual abuse against the nation's children, with LASCO's top cop, Detective Sergeant Ava Lindo, who's here in the studio with us. The numbers to participate in our program are 702-2585, 702-2470, 977-7638, and of course our text line. Just before I hand back over to Sergeant Lindo, where is the text? Okay, alright, just to take this one. Michaela, who is in studio with us, who is our young guest today, 12-year-old, had suggested when asked by Sergeant Lindo what would she recommend
the government
to do, and she said she wanted a torture machine. And somebody has texted to say, I agree with Michaela to implement a machine to torture them, and strict laws like public lashing and branding in the forehead needs to be done. I'm a parent and the greatest fear is for someone to molest them.
Well, we also have in the studio the president of the Association of Christian Peace Officer, Bible teacher, and the minister of the Executive Marriage Enhancement Ministries at Power of Faith Portmore, co-host of Hour of Prayer on Flow TV, a man who wears many, many caps, Senior Superintendent Michael Smith.
That's why his head bald. Morning, Dad.
Welcome to First Start.
Good morning. I'm happy to be here.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
This is much as we're laughing because we're sharing this space. It's a very difficult matter to be discussing, Sergeant, especially for someone like yourself who's involved in the church and has to do the counseling. But what has been your experience from dealing with victims of sexual abuse?
It has been traumatic. It is something that it's very difficult to cope with where they are concerned. It is like you rob them of the humanness. You speak to them, they are not open. They are individuals who from time to time tend to be closed based on the internal hurt and pain that they feel, both psychologically and emotionally. And I think it is an act that destroys the human being. It really gets to the core of the female. They feel violated, traumatized, and a lot of issues comes out of being abused.
What kinds of issues?
Issues like withdrawal syndrome, sleeplessness, afraid to go in the public, afraid to have a good conversation, afraid to speak. Yes, it affects their whole being, confidence, and all of these issues comes out of being abused by individuals who, violate the rights of those females.
Child sexual abuse, SSP Smith. What exactly is this sexual abuse? Because I know we know that there are various types of sexual abuse.
Yes, child sexual abuse is when a parent or caregiver, whether through action or failing to act, cause injury, death, emotional harm, or risk of serious harm to a child. There are many forms of sexual abuse, including neglect, physical abuse, sexual abuse, exploitation, and emotional abuse. And if you see some of these signs in a child, you know that they are a victim, they are abused. You need to get help for them right away.
I'm looking at the statistics here. That is, I think it's on the website of the Office of the Children's Registry, and I'm seeing here where it has physical abuse. Well, it's a list of abuse right here, and it is showing, and I'm looking at the sexual abuse aspect of it since we're on the topic of sexual abuse. I'm seeing for 2007 there were 12 males and there were 106 females. 74 in 2008 we had 74 males 1,085 females or children, because it's child abuse we're talking about, child sexual abuse. In 2009, there were 125, and that was for the male, and 1,577 for the females. And I'm looking at it, and it keeps increasing. It keeps increasing here. 99 in 2010 for boys, and 1,470 for the females. Then by the next year, the female went up to 2,551 as compared to 119 for the male. So the abuse really is
escalating.
It's escalating.
Yeah.
It's
And
ugly.
perhaps the reporting too is
Right,
that's the issue.
right,
The
because we
reporting
know
is escalated.
because we know that, and sometimes too, because maybe this is not even the definite figure, because there are still instances where some of them they're not
Keep
report,
silent,
keep
yes,
silent,
yes.
you know, and like SSP Smith was saying, the whole dynamics of what you have been through, and the trauma, the shame, and all of these things. There are a lot of victims that do not report it, and I can tell you, I understand because I've been there. So I know it took me many years to talk about what I have been through,
Yes.
and so I know that it's not something that children
It's
talks
like
about
it's like a
easily.
double
It's
victimization.
exactly, you know, because you're afraid of what the community and the stereotype and the stigmatism and all of that. So I know it's very, very difficult to talk about. SSP Smith, when a child is sexually abused, we get callous remarks from adults like the child is bad, he or she go on like them an adult, and what happened to them is bad because they're enough. How can we get adults to lay responsibility for the abuse on the perpetrators of abuse and not on the child?
I think there's a shift in a portion in blame. You couldn't look at an innocent child and accuse them of being X or Y. What do I mean by that? A child needs male's protection, and we're the adults. We need to teach them the way, show them the way, lead them in the correct path. We should not be preying upon them and accusing them of being, bad or being, because we are the ones that should be molding and shaping those children to take on the responsibility of the future. It is our God-given responsibility as adults to ensure that the children, they are developed. If you notice, the Bible said that the older must teach the younger. It's in the book of Proverbs. And if we were carrying out our responsibilities, I don't think we would have these sort of conversation to talk about the child there, this or the child, because we would have learned the art of taking care of grooming, of developing those children for the future. We are the one responsible, so we cannot apportion the blame to the children. We must take all the responsibility serious.
Earlier Michaela suggested that the perpetrators know what they're doing, whereas
Yes.
we're having a bit of a debate as to whether they know or are ignorant based on learned helplessness around these issues. What is your own perspective, SSP Smith?
My own perspective is some of the perpetrators, they are known. Some of the perpetrators, you may not believe it, they are individuals that the child trusts. Some of them are relatives, right? And as a result of that, it adds to the code of silence over the years, that if you report the issue, you're going to have your livelihood cut off, or your relative may go to prison. So I'm saying here, the child abuse, the person who does it, they are the people who the child often love. You may
Yes.
not believe it.
Yes.
And they are the ones hurting them. And this is hard to believe. This happened because the person who is abusing them is often someone they know well and trust a lot.
Yes.
I would say to you, SSP, that from my own public utterances on sexual abuse, because of my push with the sexual offenders registry,
Right.
there were so many stories that came to me. People just walked up to me all over the country when I'm anywhere, walking in Kingston downtown on a gas pump in 11 o'clock in the night, and some of the stories I got, and these are all grown women who are telling me of stories because they know I had an opportunity to share with somebody who was willing to stand up and talk. No, if more of us women don't stand up and talk, I mean, I've never been visited with that kind of abuse, yes, but I've had to handle persons who deal with it, and it's very, very difficult to speak about it. And even just the memory of some of them tear at your heart. You know, there's so much anger you feel. How do you, Sergeant Linda, and then you, SSP Smith, tell us how you cope with that?
For me really, like I said before, it takes time. This is not something that anybody, and I know it's not something that you talk about that easily, especially if you never had that type of support system in your home in the first place.
Okay.
If the mother or the father or whoever is the guardian is not that person, when children are faced with abuse, they don't talk about it so easily. But what you find is that over time, and now we're in an era now whereby you find that there is this information that is at our fingertips, SSB.
Yes.
And so we have the various groups and stuff that will cause for us.
Well, SSP, we're going to come right back to you as we come from our 8:30 break for you to give us your input on this part of the conversation. Stay with us here on Fresh Start. We'll be right back with you, the program right after our break.
I'm looking at mine. I was looking at mine and I'm seeing 8:29, so that's why.